Jenice Mitchell-Ford probably has some thoughts about all of that. She typically does. Nice to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Jenice is here with Mark Lee from Cranes as well. We had the chairman of the respective political parties in Michigan on a little bit earlier, as we typically do, and the talk of redistricting and gerrymandering, one acting like, well, that never happened when we were in power, but of course it happens with either side
exactly.
in power.
Yeah, I think they use an Etch-a-Sketch this time to draw the district.
That's a good way of putting it. Real good way of putting it. One of the things we haven't talked about this evening so far is the race in the House and the Senate in Michigan.
Yes.
And I know you've been paying particularly close attention to a lot of the candidates there, and there's some humdinger of races there.
Some really good races. And the reason why I think we need to pay a lot of attention to these races is they're being decided today, right? For districts that are primarily Democrat, that's going to be decided today. And these people are going to go and decide some very, very real issues. We have the Israeli conflict going on, the Hamas. We have Russia and Ukraine, this impending impeachment issue. So these are people that need to be serious-minded when they really go on day one. And so you look at like a 13th district with Horace Sheffield and John Conyers. And some are saying he's been around long, but we need new breath, right? But seniority in D.C. is mother's milk, right? So we have to consider that as well. You look at the 14th district. You have Hanson Clark, you have Rudy Hobbs and Brenda Lawrence, right? And that's a huge deal as well. Some are positioning Hanson Clark as the incumbent, right? Others are saying, well, Rudy and Brenda are going to split the vote in Southfield. So it's a lot of interesting races to watch. We have Debbie Dingell going, well, assuming that she'll get that.
And to your point, we're getting some information from Tim Kiska that Hobbs and Lawrence, Rudy Hobbs, who's a state representative, and Brenda Lawrence are indeed splitting Oakland County. Now, you still have Wayne County in there, and that's going to be important, which is where Hanson Clark traditionally runs strong.
Right.
And going into this was supposed to be strong there. So, not calling a winner there yet, but some of the things that the pollsters talked about going into this are coming to fruition, particularly that splitting up the vote in Oakland County.
Some real issues.
Yeah, and Mark, to that point, thoughts either on the 13th with Conyers, who we just heard from, or that 14th, where you've got 4 candidates in particular with some pretty darn good name recognition.
Yeah, it's going to boil down to that, I think. I think Conyers, I totally agree with Jenice there. He's going to be in for a battle. Obviously, he's been around for a long time, and people still recognize his legacy in that particular district. I think in the other district as well, you're going to have similar challenges. I mean, it's going to be close, but the name recognition certainly is going to be an advantage to those that people will be voting for those leaders, if you will. I think the challenge is going to be certainly the low voter turnout, and clearly, more times than not, that goes to the incumbent, quite candidly.
Yeah, Mark, let me ask you, because politics is front and center tonight, but when tonight is said and done, in November, when we end up with whoever's going to be representing all of these different districts, it goes back to running cities, running counties, running townships. And we've been hearing an awful lot about that, small business, economic development, whether it's the Dan Gilberts or it's others. You've been following that pretty closely. What's your sense now with a new mayor, new representation on city council, and in the region as well?
I think that's a great question, Chuck. I think number one, collaboration is crucial.
Right.
I know we have to have the city working with the entire region as well as the state. In terms of from a business perspective, Dan Gilbert's of the world and everyone else, I think that people leading the state and leading the city, we need to think about running it more like a business. I think that's crucial. Small business development is crucial to Detroit's revitalization. It's economic generators creating jobs. So we need to continue to run, I think, the city and the state as a region, as a business.
Is it your sense that, sorry for interrupting, okay. Is it your sense that that we might be seeing a shift in terms of leadership for this region, that the business community is sort of setting the agenda more so than the elected public officials?
I think you're seeing a trend in that direction. I think at the end of the day, we need to do that. And the challenge is going to be we have to find that balance between the business leadership helping to drive the agenda, and we still have the politicians who are going to be acquiescing, if you will, to different special interest groups. But I think it's crucial that business has a larger or a more significant voice in setting the agenda.
There's a dynamic there, pushback from residents in some cases with the Illich deal. Hey, the city gave up too much. All of that land, not getting enough back in terms of, tax revenue, revenues, period. So that's going to be a balancing act always, right?
It's going to take some time to get that balance in order. I mean, think about the history of the city and the region, how we've done things historically. And I think as we continue to follow this trend, there's going to be some pushback. So that's where I think, Dave, I agree with you, and Chuck, the collaboration has to be crucial on a go-forward basis.
So what you find is the convergence of the business interests with the politicians.
Yeah.
Proposal 1 is an example of that. Wayne County RESA is a sample of that, where you're going from what is traditionally localized government, me electing you making the decision, and me funding you locally, to being funded on a centralized format. So for Proposal 1, what was normally the city collecting the tax, now there's a new state authority collecting that tax. Some people see it as a good thing administratively, others see it as a power grab from that city. Same thing with Wayne County RESA. You're going to have Northfield dollars paying for, Detroit dollars paying for Plymouth Canton. Again, centralization. What was once a support system in Wayne County RESA is now becoming a funding source. And so you're starting to see a lot of what people would call central government and power being taken away from local municipalities. And some would say that we're going to look up one day and we won't have a mayor of Detroit or Southfield or Ferndale or some other county place in Wayne County. You're going to have a Wayne County executive running all 43 communities in Wayne County.
All right, Jenice Mitchell-Ford, thank you so much. Mark Lee, thank you so much.
Pleasure, thank you.
All right, it's always
Great to have you
pleasure
here.
to be able to get your wisdom and your comments.
Thank you for having us.
too.
Yeah.
be here.
See you back in November.
All right.
All right, thank you so
Thank you.
much.